Hello, Margaret. Hello. We are streaming, we are streaming live now, just to let you know.
Okay, that sounds fine.
Okay. Just waiting for everybody else to get here. Did you receive a copy of the
I did.
draft?
I got the draft. I printed it off today. I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
And I'm just waiting to see. I've got all my ducks lined up. And then I'm just going to take whatever lead they want. And I saw the agenda, and I hope I can be helpful in pulling a nice written product that we will have to you on Monday.
I think we're in a good place.
I think so too. I think so too. In looking over the draft quickly, it just seems like it's a lot of, oh, you got to pull it together and have some consistency to it. But I think that's easy to do. That's what I'm good at.
Good.
Well, that's what I think I'm good at. Writing public policy statements and that kind of stuff and bringing everybody's different ideas so it flows, I think is one of the things I can do. And I haven't done much. Sorry about that. I find myself as not able to say no to people and taking on too much that I can handle. Sorry about that. It's kind of
No problem. I think a lot of us are in that boat.
Yeah, isn't that true?
We're all doing what we can.
I know. And Andrew, you're young, so just remember, because as you get older, you're supposed to get smarter. I haven't gotten any smarter, unfortunately. You know?
Yeah. Well, hopefully through age, we just won't make the same mistake.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Maybe I'll give you a list of all the mistakes I made in my life so you can avoid all of that. How's that?
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, you can step to the head of the line. So, but you put a hell of a lot of work into this. They are very fortunate in the county executive office to have you because I can't get over how responsive you are. I've never seen anybody boom, boom, boom. Here, this is what you want. Okay, here's this, here's that. You know, it's unbelievable. Very, very good. Very good.
It comes from leadership and good people in the office, so they've trained me well.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and there's a couple of people in your office, Jen being one of them, who are kind of like heroes to me anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's definitely a leader in the office and the community.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have her.
Yeah, I think so too. The one thing I enjoy about her is I don't like meetings for the sake of meeting, but the one thing when you're involved with Jen, she knows how we're going to get from A to Z. It's organized. She's very good at telling you're going to do this and you're going to do this and lining everybody out and having a contingency plan if someone lets her down. And I got to tell you, you don't waste any time. You say, what do you need me to do? You do it. You make her happy. I love that. To me, that's the kind of person, I'll be on anything that under her guidance, if she says, do you have time to do this? I'll tell her yes, because I don't want to say yes to her and then not fulfill anything. That I know about her. But other than that, yeah, I love working for people like that. You know, getting right down to business. Let's get it done, type of thing. So,
right.
Yeah, I love her. She's one of my favorite people.
Yes, she is. She is one of mine as well.
Yeah. So.
There was another subsection that was completed by Miles.
Yes.
I'm going to forward that to you.
Good.
Now.
Okay.
I'll probably share it once we're doing the live stream, but just so that you have it.
Good. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
And okay, now this is what happens when you get old and or a virus hit and you're in the house all the time. You have to say, today is Wednesday. Okay, so there's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, everything gets through there. Okay, so Thursday, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, yeah, that's easy. Yeah, easy enough time given how much is written. We'll see what Marty'd like to do, how he wants to be involved, but I hope we can make it very simple. Let's get something drafted. Let's get everybody review it. Do you think, Jen, and the county executive, when we give them what we're looking at on the on Monday, which is the 19th, is it?
I think it's the 22nd.
22nd, okay. So when we give them everything on the 22nd, do you think there will still be time afterwards that we're saying we just need to tweak a few more sections? I think their interest is probably more that we got something in a form that if we didn't anything else, it's presentable. But do you think they would let further tweaks, or are you guys going to take it from there?
I'm not sure. I know they will probably tweak some things as well, but
Yep.
they'll I kind of just play it by ear with them.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Or if we all decide that we need to add something, they would let us add an amendment.
Yep. Or take something out or something, rearrange something.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I think that's why we're submitting it now so that we can have some time to do that
Yep.
type of editing and revision.
And Andrew, do you know what is the time frame that this has to be given to the legislature?
Well, we're gonna probably after next week, we're gonna look to try to schedule something to get in front of them
Okay.
and have it on their agenda before April 1st.
Okay. Okay. So sometime in March, you're going to get it on their agenda.
I
Okay.
believe so. Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
I already have one edit. My name is spelled incorrectly.
So is mine. So is mine.
So
Well, I'm glad I asked her how to do it. I don't know. I'm a quick typer. What can I say? I'm going to ask everybody to send me an email. Then I can take my time, type to me how you want your name to look, and I will correct it. I promise, and I apologize. How you have two easy names. How did I screw it up? Let me look.
I know. You put
I think
Murphy.
Olivia's name, her middle name and her last name are together, right? Yeah, so just need to be a space between the M and the O.
And when you see,
it's Mowens,
Moen.
which is definitely not my name.
and when you see Murphy, it should be obvious. You live in Buffalo. There's a lot of Irish and a lot of Murphys. You'll see the mistake automatically.
I married a Scanlon, for heaven's sakes.
Oh, God. Then yes. If you don't know, show it to the Scanlon in the family. They're going to say, yeah, I don't know any Murphy whose last name is spelled.
Gosh. No, that one was totally a typo. Olivia, I don't know what I did. Yeah,
I know.
Brittany's name is spelled wrong too.
Yeah. Whose name?
that's true.
Yeah.
Brittany.
Oh, Brittany. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I looked up Brittany. Is it Lee?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay, so I just have crazy fingers. That's all.
Well, listen, I don't think you were selected because someone said he's the best typist in the world. Gotta make him chair. This guy is the best typist in all of Erie County.
I can tell you.
That man can type.
I can tell you, I left Amherst High School certified at 60 words a minute on a typewriter. It wasn't even, I'm so old, it was a typewriter. It wasn't even a computer with less than 3 errors. So
My mother, and Marty, just like you, my mother made all of us kids in high school take typing because we're going to go to college. And believe it or not, I only took 1 year, but my brother took 2 years, and there was a typing regents in this state, a typing regents. And my brother got 100 because my mother had him taking piano, and he was great at the piano. And he said, yeah, typing is like the piano. It's so easy. You just boom, 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 boom. And they always say people who can play the piano are great typists. So he got 100 on his. So he used to brag all the time. He's deceased now. Like, oh, I got 100 on one of my regencies, and we go typing, Regents, Fred.
But could he hold a tune? Could he hold a tune on the piano? That's what I want to know.
I don't know about the tuning of a piano, but my God, my brother was very, he was kind of an amazing kind of guy. You know, underachiever in some things, but my God, when it came to music and something, that guy could do anything. He could play
See,
sport. He just could, it just things came easily to him.
must
Music,
have been the typing. Must have been the
it
typing.
had to be the typing. He thinks it was the music, the piano lessons all those years and how good he was on that made it easy for him to type. But that guy, pick up a golf club, you know, the thing is, he didn't have a lot of patience. So he can lose interest easy. But my God, that guy just, what we all have to struggle to learn and practice and practice and practice. And he was a car salesman, #1 in his region for I don't know how many decades. But he liked that. He was a people person.
Excellent. Well, we're going to need some people person skills tonight to get through some of our, well, this whole draft. And I really didn't have any, opening statement other than a question. And if we could, well, I'll ask her when she gets back, but I have a feeling it's Judge Murphy without an E that it has her microphone. Could you maybe mute your microphone and see if you're the person that's causing the
Sure.
feedback? Okay. Yep, it was you. Now you're busted. So just jump in when you need to give us some of your great advice. So my talking point, what I want to go over to now at least, is a brief discussion on what you folks think we should do to resolve issues before we get to any issues that need resolving. So if we don't agree on a recommendation, what is your recommendation on how we either complete the report? Margaret, please jump in.
Well, first of all, I don't think we should say anybody has a dissenting view. They might have a different point of view. And so, hey, listen, I'm in the law. I read cases all the time. Cases, people, judges who file dissents, sometimes you find the dissent years from now that's what the law is. So do you think when we find areas that seem to be a little bit different than what some, we'll just offer it. And there was another viewpoint, not embraced by the entire committee, but a different point of view. In the end, it's going to be policymakers, not our recommendations, who are going to decide what they want if they're going to make changes to the law or changes to practices. So my view is all thoughts are good thoughts. All thoughts should be included. We don't have to fight among ourselves. We all can agree to disagree. And you know something? Let's give our best thoughts, and we can view as this is a majority view, this is a minority view, and not identify who's doing it, just the thoughts. It's the words and it's the ideas that I think will control the day for policymakers. That's what my view would be.
Yep.
Marty,
Yep.
Marty, this is Bill. If I can jump in.
Please.
When I read that on the agenda, my first thought was that, well, gee, the subcommittees sort of hammered these things out. In our subcommittee, there was discussion about each one of the conclusions and how it should be worded, how to interpret some of the data, we started, some of the recommendations were worded one way, and after discussion they were changed. So, and there was more meat put on some of them than originally. And so, I would think that kind of consensus building that went on within the subcommittee should, we should all keep that in mind. If there's a recommendation coming out of a subcommittee, like subcommittee 1, well, why should somebody in subcommittee 2, say, well, we really disagree with that one? They weren't there when they were hammering it out. And so I think I would agree also with Margaret, like you know, the heavy lifting was done at the subcommittee level as far as building consensus. I know that's the way it worked in our group.
Okay, so I would just say that Margaret doesn't like your idea and it shouldn't be included in the report. No, just joking. Margaret, please go
I
ahead.
just want to say, here's what I think. I think you're right, Bill. I think the real work of this group was done in the subcommittee. And you guys really, and unfortunately, I'm sorry that I wasn't part because I couldn't decide which subcommittee I liked better than the other, which I'm sure is true of other people. Here's what I'm thinking, that the work of the subcommittees, we can write a report that says the subcommittee and the people who signed up for this stuff, this is their view. But there have been other views expressed by people who weren't serving on that subcommittee. And we don't have to identify who was in those subcommittees. And just say, but here's a view that was expressed by some other members of the task force. Because in the end, it doesn't matter what our recommendations is. They're going to be accepted or rejected, or it's going to be put on a shelf and no one reads it. But as a good policy document, it should start, what I think this thing should be intended to do is start a conversation of dialogue. It won't end with this document. It's going to begin something with this document. And all ideas, regardless of what any individual of the subcommittee thinks is worthy to be put into the report. So maybe when we structure this, we structure it is under what Bill suggested. A subcommittee was formed to deal directly with this. We will refer to them as subcommittee 1. And this is subcommittee. And subcommittee 1 recommendation to the group was this, okay? However, there were other comments made by other members, and those comments included this and this and this. We don't actually have to come to, and that their recommendation would like to encompass this. I don't think our recommendation, and to focus on, we all agree on a recommendation or whatever it is, what did the collective group think on the subject? Because all of us come from different communities, all of us have different backgrounds, all of us have diversity in our experiences and everything, and everybody's experience and everybody's thought is worthy of to be part of this report. And then we leave it to those who will take this report and do with it as they will, okay? And they may say, well, I know the subcommittee and we agree with it, but we want to explore a little bit more about this. Or at least we want to, if this is a concern that we don't think should be a concern. I know with the Water Authority, I'm just going to give you a quick little example. When I joined as general counsel to the Water Authority, Erie County Water Authority sometimes hasn't had the best reputation over the years. The only reason someone like myself would ever agree to be their general counsel is I'm at the end of my career. And I was persuaded, because people knew where my soft points were, that this could be the best thing I ever did in my career in public service, is come in and try to rebrand and restructure the organization so that whatever critics say on the upside, whether we agree with them or not, we at least have shown an effort that we're doing better and that the institution is doing better. And I think that's what this whole thing that we're doing. We're trying to tell an institution, we think you do this well. There are some things that we'd like for you to consider. And there are other people in our community who may have an opinion, well, we think they should do this or that. And maybe some of us disagree with that. But you know something, if I was a person, and I'm not, although I know there's a lot of people who want to be the next sheriff, but I'm not one of them. But if someone who wants to be the next sheriff comes in and says, I don't think this is a problem of what I know of this organization. But you know what I am going to do? I want to make sure there's not a single person in this community who questions this. So I'm going to do X, Y, and Z just to show it's a non-issue. Then I think that point of view is worthy because the next sheriff, the next person can make, and maybe it's not an issue for the sheriff's department, maybe it's an issue that goes with law enforcement in general. Let them say, it's not an issue here, but you know something? There's nothing, we should be open and transparent and let the public know this is not an issue and let it start that conversation. So that's kind of my view on that. I think we should have the broadest view. And as I've said before, we should be neutral. We're not pro anything or against anything. We're about starting a good and needed conversation as to how do we get from here to something better in the future. So that's my point of view. And I'm
Okay.
going on mute. I'm going on mute now.
And Marty, this is Missy. Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Missy.
I just want to add to that, at least for our subcommittee, similar to what Bill said, we went through each one, even though maybe individually worked on a section on our own, and then went through each one and came to a consensus for our own group. But a lot of what we brought into our subsection was other comments and conversations that had been had throughout this committee's time, whether it be in a big group or our subcommittee group. So I would assume that, and I'm just assuming, of course, that other subcommittees did similar things and took notes during our larger group sessions, and also, maybe through some of the public comment periods, and came up with things that they thought the whole group probably felt as well. I just wanted to add that.
Okay. Anyone else? I think this ended up kind of where I was thinking about it, and I'll take it one step further. I think that this document, when we submit it, needs to review everything that we've done. This is the process we used. Here are the places we collected information and how we did. This is, we had 382 surveys from citizens. This was the breakdown. There's strengths and weaknesses with everything that we've done, and we just be open and honest with everybody and say, this is what we've done. Here's the interpretations these were the questions we asked of the sheriff's office. Here were the responses they gave us. This is what we came up with, and here's the recommendations that we have. So I'm glad we got through that quickly. The only thing that I could think of is that maybe if we were very strong about some recommendations and we had a united front or something on a difficult issue, that it might carry a little more weight with the county legislature when they're trying to enact or provide resources. So that'll probably work out the way we want it as well. And I quite frankly thought, so I guess I can start with this. I was really impressed with all the work that everybody did. We ended up touching on way more topics than I probably would have guessed. We asked the sheriff's office for 80 questions to respond to. They, in a very quick time, turned around the best answers they had, provided us a ton of information and data. The data for the calls for services, they had to rework 2 or 3 times to get it so that we could use it. And I think they should be commended for how open they've been and transparent with what they've provided us. And I wonder if there are very many other counties out there that had such access to information and coordinated effort. So I'm just really happy with everything, and I think I'm really proud of this group. We have a lot of different viewpoints, lenses, experiences, and I think everybody's been respectful of everybody else in trying to put this together. So thank you, everybody. My first comment is about the report anyways, is just to think about, I put everybody's together, I kind of quilted it together. And one of the first things that Margaret and I and anybody else that wants to work on writing, putting this final thing to bed, is we're going to have to look at repetitive items. We're going to have to look at the sequencing. We want consistency if we say it in one section and then it comes up in another section. And our recommendations need to flow from what cometh before. So I think that's just a general comment that our very able-minded Andrew put forward for me to consider after reviewing our document. So with that, why don't we just start going through and having people make comments as we go? Or does anybody have any general comments about, what it sounds like or what it's going to read like or anything. Margaret.
I've been on web and Zoom meetings all day, so I might be more talkative than normal. I'm sorry, which is, I'm
That's okay. You can
talkative
make
today.
up for it.
But yeah, a couple of things I just want to just say to you. I think that as far as it's going through this, I think right now, I mean, as I told Andrew when we were waiting for everybody to join, I've looked at it quickly, not in the details that I'm sure the rest of you have. But I think that the goal should be of this thing is first, I mean, I've looked over a couple of things. I've looked at Niagara counties. I've looked at, you guys sent something that showed, here's a link of what has been, filed with certain people that are available on the web. And I looked those things over. So there's a hodgepodge of everything. And the cooperation that people have gotten from their local law enforcement agencies have varied from some of them that the law enforcement agency themselves wrote it. And everybody said, yeah, that looks good to us, versus other ways. But I think the thing for this to be an effective document is in a way that we need a format. And so I know you're saying whoever wants to be involved, but I've often been ghostwriters on many, many things that when I was a judge and I was an OCA and I wrote 2 reports I was assigned to committees on, because melting the ideals of people so that it reads like as a consistent document is something that we need. And the thing is, I also think that the data, which I know, Marty, you love data, okay? I know Melanie's not on, but she loves data. But for most people who read it in the public sector, they glare over. So I think like that stuff should be, in my view, should be the supportive information that supports the facts as we find them, and then reference to that. So those people who are like you and like Mel, and quite frankly me, can say, okay, this is where they've got this. They got it from this, okay? But narrative is better. And because I think what we want in the end, we don't want this to go on anybody's shelf. We really want the legislature to read it. And more importantly, we want it to be that other people pick it up and say, this you can see that these people thought, and it doesn't mean that the document is wrong. It means it's precise, it's consistent, it has its backup information. So you're right, we need to identify who are the people who were part of the process, what was their source information, what information, which I think for Erie County, because remember Niagara County covered their jail. And as you know, everybody cares about the jail, and we didn't cover that. And that's because the legislation didn't ask anything about jails. They talked about policing. And we've got to say that at the very beginning, because the media and everybody else is going to wonder what was the glaring mistake of this report. And I'm going to tell you, there are going to be members of the legislature who are going to say the glaring problem with this report is a failure for them to address the jails. And yeah, that wasn't our charge. So we've got to set that up front, first page, set the expectation, okay? Then talk who we are, how we did it, and what was our source material. And I agree with you that I think we also have to say that we found, the committee, in a very objective point of view, that a lot of material was requested, and that we have to say that we found that this process that we were, that the Sheriff's Department was very open and transparent and responsive to our questions. And then that we also took it upon ourselves, many of you, to do questionnaires and to solicit your information outside of that and bring that information into the report. And then I think we basically trying to follow some of as the committee structure, which was the structure of the governor's thing of what he wanted, we hit it, we organize it, is we've hit it here, and we've hit it here, and we've hit it here, we hit it here. But our goal should be, we have backup, just like a lawyer does in a brief. We have backup for what we say. We looked at it. Here's our source material. This is why we have it. But remember, a good lawyer who writes a brief to any court is not persuading people because of long string cites and all of these charts. That's backup. It's the narrative that people see, think about, and that, to me, is going to be what sells this report, not only to the legislature and to the county executive and to the media and anybody who wants to look at that. It's going to be a narrative that flows, that sounds, I get what they're saying, and then has the backup because of footnotes and everything, or charts and tables that shows, and here's our backup for this information. It wasn't just what we felt, it's what we saw, okay? And I think that if we have too many cooks in the kitchen, as it could say, you're going to spoil the overall product, because there's 1,000 ways to go about writing this report, and everyone here probably has a valid way of, I would do it this way, and none of them are invalid. It's just that you got to commit. And as I said, all my writing, I usually am a ghostwriter, taking other people's work and trying to say, is this what you mean? Did I get what you were saying? Pull it together so their words resonate better than maybe how they originally presented, or at least it flows with the thoughts of other people. So it all seems like it all webbed together. So instead of having a lot of people in the rewrite of this, I think it's better to make it a smaller group. And then from the smaller group, have everybody then put their comments in. Can you change it from this to this, or this like that? But I'm open to anything. And as I'm saying, I've been the one who has done the least amount of work of everybody on this committee, and now willing to do whatever you want me to do. Between now, I'll give you my entire Saturday, my entire Sunday, and tomorrow evening, Thursday, I don't think I have anything else. Thursday, Olivia might know. I don't think I have anything tomorrow after 5 o'clock, and I'll end at work at 5 o'clock, and I'll have nothing on Friday after I get back from a doctor's appointment, but I think I'll be home by 5. I can give you a few hours those nights, and then I can give you 10, 12 hours on the weekend, however you want to use me. Okay?
So, Bill, go ahead.
Marty, I think what Margaret says about the fluency of the report is very important, and since she's volunteered to author the report and provide that fluency, that's a great idea. Thank you very much, Margaret. I do think that the way the subcommittee's reports sort of emerged under the sort of the direction and the consensus of the committee, but the direction of Marty, is that we were supposed to provide some the data and the rationale why we came up with our conclusions. And so I think Margaret can take a look at those subcommittee reports and in the narrative for that section. And that section is the section in the table of contents of the directive from the state. She can write the narrative of why those conclusions for that section are arrived at without breaking it down like in our subcommittee did, with citing sort of the information from the sheriff departments or the surveys. So I think that's what Margaret can do that, and I think she's provided with the information from the subcommittees. I would just like to add this. I think Margaret's absolutely, there needs to be some kind of introductory remarks, including who we are, absolutely. But I also believe we need to put a timeline in there. And the reason I say that, Margaret, is I was on a NICOM, a mayor's conference call with some state officials about this. And they are really interested when the Erie County legislature adopts this and then Erie County forwards it to the state. The state is not going to comment on our findings, on our conclusions. What they're going to comment on is the process. And, they want to make sure that this committee or Erie County fulfilled all the steps. And in the back of that book we got, there is a whole timeline of what we should have, or what Erie County should have done. So the timeline should start with that opening meeting that where the county executive had us, out in Cheektowaga and introduced us, and he had a PowerPoint. I mean, it starts with that, and then I talked to Andrew about this a little bit in our subcommittee meeting. We've had at least, I think now 13 at least meetings. Every one of those should be, what date did we have? What did we talk about? We had 2 public meetings, October 26th and 27th. What was said at those? I mean, we got to start way back then. We have to document that we went through this step. And even the steps that are going to come after we're finished drafting this, it's got to go to the Erie County legislature. There has to be another public meeting. The dates of those have to be put in the timeline so that someone from the state can look at, oh, look what Erie County did. and then our report will be accepted by them. I think that's very important, and that should be made part of the report. And I also think what Margaret says, all the supporting evidence, I think that should be put in like an appendix at the end. And, you know, you don't have to put that in the main part of it, that you just pull out some details in the narrative of what the call volume showed or whatever, and the demographics showed, or what information that we got from Erie County Sheriff showed this, and that's why this conclusion was made. But the whole 80 questions, the whole thing, that's all got to be in an appendix. And that's going to make this 30-page document that we got, that's going to make it a 60-page document easy. And but that should all be put in there. And I think Margaret's got the right idea. Thank you, Margaret, for volunteering to do this.
Go ahead, Margaret.
I have a suggestion, one more suggestion, just so everybody's comfortable. Because Bill, the only thing I'm going to criticize you on, I'm not going to be the author of this. What I'm going to be is a person who is all people in public policy. I'm going to be the only thing I contributed so far. I will be pulling all your thoughts together and putting it in a way that we write. So we're all the authors of this. So what I propose doing is this, and I like this idea of, hey, you know, this didn't come about because one day we got together and the next day we wrote a report. So I can put hyperlinks into the document. In other words, as you're reading something, there will be a hyperlink that will jump to those pages of the document that refers that. Like, for example, over a period of X number of time, the committees, the group met as a whole 16 times, committees met separately. And during that time, you know, we have, and there's a detailed list of what we accomplished at each of these meetings. Click, you go to the first appendix 1, because that's probably going to be one of the first things we talk about. And there we have this beautifully drafted thing that will, and one thing is I probably should be the kindergarten art teacher or something, because I'm really good at putting colorful, fun things together, okay? But I can do that, and I can make them hyperlink. So now you're done with that, hyperlink back to the document you're reading. That's going to make it easy for the legislature. It's going to make it so that when some people saying, oh, I don't care about, but you have someone like Marty and you have someone like Melanie and quite frankly me, who wants to see, I want to see these charts. Click, boom, get back to the document. So I think I can do all of those things. And I'm going to propose to you this. I'm going to take some time this evening. I'm going to kind of like give you my initial ideas of how to structure it. Like anything I ever write, and I told you I was working on a brief to the United States Supreme Court. There's no writing that I don't have like 16 things until I start writing the document. And of course it changes, but I start with an outline. I'm going to start here. It's going to do this. So it's like an outline, and that's how I proceed so that I know how to do it. I can send you an outline of how, and I probably can do that Friday, no later than Friday. That starts giving you an outline before I really start the real rewriting or the pulling this stuff together that would take place on Saturday and Sunday. So that way, if you guys think of something to tweak, okay, then we'll change the outline. But that will be kind of like how I'm going to approach the writing of it. And Marty, I do have, and I'll give it to Andrew, and Andrew, I'm sorry, you're going to have to help me on this one. I did find that I do have a Gmail address because I have it for YouTube. So I have the password and everything. So now I'll give that to Andrew. So these Google Docs that you guys keep talking about, I don't know if I
You're there.
If there's stuff, is that where all these things are? I'll find it there. And I'll try to bring it in so that we can make it part of the report. But you're right, the report might come out to be 60 pages, but the narrative, if it reads as if, well, this is easy reading. This is crisp and concise, and whoops, I can do a bookmark and I can get over to this document. Whoop, now I can get back to where I left off reading. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So I will work, I'm going to look at this tonight. I will try, if which is probably quite possible, that even tonight start working on a little bit of how I see breaking it down, what a table of content would look like and an appendix might look like, and then share that with you guys as soon as possible so that if anybody says, hey, that's good, but what about this? And I will address those issues. The committee who dealt with this is committee this, and this was their view. And Marty, if there's an area that you're right, the committee, but everybody agrees with that, saying this had the universal support of everybody in the group. This was the recommendation and had universal support. We can make those things strong and brought out and be respectful of the different points of view that may not have come out of the committee, but still worth doing, okay? So I think I can do it and set up a structure as we move through this that I think will work.
Excellent. I think I agree. And just as an example, you know, everybody was 100% on board with diversifying the Erie County Sheriff's Deputy Road Patrol. So, you know, and that's an important thing that I think we all believe. If you had to do, you know, if you had to do 1, 2, or 3 things, you know, what would they be? Or if and my only comment is I think, and I mentioned this to Andrew today, I think we have at least 3 or 4 different audiences that we should be considering. I think the primary one for getting things done is the Erie County Legislature. You know, that we want them to read it and understand it and be convinced by it and make action plans. That's what we want. But it's also going to the governor's office, and probably the most important is, you know, any citizen that wants to read it, you know, that's who it's for. So, and all the people that have participated in any ways. So, you know, I think we have a few different audiences to think about when you're writing it, Margaret, but absolutely everything you've said, I think works out good. I put some of those, and I did 2 things kind of intentionally. I put a really too long table in on the 47 jurisdictions. And I also put in some pie charts. I did that just in section 1 so that people could see what it might look like. If I hadn't, if it was me reading it, I'm a visual learner, so like those little pie charts, I would like to see if for just the most important points, I could see those being in the text. But other than that, I totally agree, and especially with the hyperlinks. I didn't know that you were that tech savvy, so that I think is an awesome thing to do, and I'm fully supportive. And I say give it a whack. Our only issue is we need this, you know, we need a draft by Monday, right, Andrew?
Yes, by Monday.
And then, so what is the plan? We get a draft. Our amazing ghost, not author, puts us all together. And then what? We still want to review it before we give it to your boss, correct?
That would be up to the task force. If you guys want to have a meeting, you know, sometime on Sunday or over the weekend, I can do that. Just let me know.
But that's still where I'm at. We are at the you know, Monday. It has to be done, right? We can't have a meeting on Monday and review it.
Well, I think it needs to be submitted by Monday. They can look over it. The county executive will look over it. And then we also have to put it up for public comment as well.
Yeah.
So we have to leave it open for that. So we're, you know, trying to give the public enough time to, you know, make some comments. And then we'll probably have another meeting to, you know, I guess finalize everything after that. That's what my assumption would be at this point.
So I think there's one other thing that we should do, and that is, I mean, I understand we have a hard deadline for the county executive, and I understand that the legislature is going to need time, but I don't think there's no room in the middle, for example. I think out of respect, we need to present this to the sheriff's office and let them take a look for any technical, not like agree or disagree with anything, but if we got something, if we said something that was incorrect, that's my only thought.
I think after we submit it, we'll probably if there's some revisions that we need to make, we'll be able to do so.
Okay.
Can I have a suggestion? Because I think to resolve what we need to do by Monday, having a meeting on Monday, honestly, God, I'm just praying that, you know, with a lot of caffeine in me, and the only means I get caffeine is through Coca-Cola, because I don't drink coffee, that it's going to be a big job to do this. And as I do it, I will send it to whomever. I think Bill and Bruce and Melissa and Marty. Have I named everybody who was the chair? I don't know who the chairs are necessarily, but I know Bill was, I know Kevin was, I know Melissa was. As I'm drafting this, I can send you, here's a draft, you know, here's the partial draft, here's the part. But here's what I would suggest if it's possible, and I could text and see if it's possible, but maybe tomorrow, if anybody has time, and I'll just make a point, it has to be after my board meeting, that maybe we could have a little time with Andrew and maybe the chief of staff, okay? Tell her how we're going to approach this, and tell her that we're going to have a draft to them on that. But, you know, something after the county executive look at it, that perhaps that we can have a meeting with him or with her or with Andrew. It doesn't even have to be with any of those two. It can be with Andrew, where he can say, I'd like for you, these parts are good, but I need for you to do this or that, okay? And as far as the sheriff, here's the thing. I think the sheriff's department has been wonderful. They have been very open. They've been very transparent, and quite frankly, I'm glad to see the cooperation we got out of the sheriff's department. That has been very impressive to me. But I think as far as the report, as to the accuracy of the report, I think that we should have a section that's up blank, that they too, because we don't want to look like they're driving the bus, okay? I think it should be viewed that, hey, we did the best we can, we extracted the best we can, but we can leave a section where they can submit a letter basically saying, well, these recommendations, you know, and they just state their point of view, because that too should be part of anything that the legislature looks at, or they can submit it after the legislature looks at it. But I do think their point of view should be set off, maybe as an appendix, something separate from the committee, because I don't want us to look like we were co-opted in what we came to a conclusion. I think by keeping everybody's point of view and having them have their own special section where they would say, well, we think there was a miscommunication here, and because of this, they can do it then. And remember, I just think that's fine without, you know, let's dragging this off. We got to get it done. That's usually what happens with you know, when you're a lawyer. You know, if you're given 6 months to do it, it will take you 6 months to do it. If you're given a month, you have a month. If you only have a weekend to get a brief done, you get it done. So we have a deadline. I think it'd be fruitful maybe tomorrow, if maybe she's not available because she's busy, that if Andrew and Jen Hibbett and Marty, you know, if the four of us, or Bill, I don't care who's part of the meeting, just can meet with Jen and say, look, this is what our plans are. This is the deadline. Andrew can show what good faith you've gotten up to this date, okay? And then I can tell her what I'm going to do, and she knows my limitation, but I'm going to put, and she knows me too, that I never want to miss a deadline, okay? But at some point, to say to her, we can get this to you, just so that you and the county executive know, but we'd like to share it with our committee on Monday. Give them until Tuesday to make probably what would be minor adjustments. But at least the bulk of what you're going to see, with some minor adjustments, may come Tuesday morning, you know, with track changes, so you know what we changed. I think she'd be fine with that, but I think it's part of what we need to communicate with her. And that puts Andrew off the hook. He doesn't have to be the middleman. I can send an email to see if that's possible, that we can do it. Just a phone call, or however, Andrew, you guys want to do it. If you got a call number, I don't care how you do it. And we can resolve it. So that's not like weighing on all of us and me, nervous that I'm not going to meet a deadline. So that once we get it done, it's done. Monday, it goes to the county executive and it goes to our committee. Our committee then has that day to look at it and say, oh, you didn't put this in. Or I don't think that's what we said. to tweak it a bit, track those changes, and get something back to the county executive so they can start their process. They can give the comments before it's something that we all agree is the finalized version that's going to go there. And we'll make a provision in this draft that the sheriff's department, and I think it benefits the sheriff's department to do it this way, because I've said some of these that I saw sheriff's departments and or police officers, they wrote the thing, and that's not what the governor wanted. But they should have the ability to comment upon our work and our recommendations from their point of view to the legislature and to whoever it goes beyond that when it goes to the state. I'm going to stop talking now.
Go ahead, Bill.
All right, there's a question I have actually of Andrew. Andrew, I'd like to know what happens after the county executive gets it, because there, as you mentioned, there has to be a public hearing. So, and after the public hearing, it should come back to us, or at least the comments made in the public hearing have to be incorporated in our report somehow. The way it happened in Springville, after the public comments, most of the public comments were made by the elected officials, and actually the report was changed a little bit. So in my way of looking at this, Andrew, is the public hearing going to be in front of the Erie County Legislature? Is that what this is?
Well, my belief is that we will put it up for public comments to for the public to comment on the draft, and then I believe we'll have a chance to possibly, revise it. I don't think the draft that we hand in on Monday will be the final one that we put forth, but that's why it's considered a draft. So we'll leave it up for public comment, but I think we'll probably need to have a solid finalized plan before we, get a date where it's going to be presented in front of the legislature, and I think we'll have our final copy by then.
But doesn't there have to be a place, an actual hearing? A public hearing is more than just being up on a website and open for public comment. It's a time where the authors of this document, like Marty and Margaret, they're there to listen to what people have to say about it. Not necessarily respond, but at least to listen.
Bill, why don't I do this? I have downloaded the legislation. So that's an issue. What did the legislation say? Maybe you guys did it like in the formal public hearing, but maybe the legislation requires it and maybe it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't require it. We'll see what public comment might work. But if the legislation says there will be a public hearing whereby the draft is given and the public can comment on it, then I will look at that tonight. So that if we could, and Bill, you probably should be part of any call if we can arrange it. I don't know what her schedule is, but if the chief of staff, Jen Hibbett, is available just for a short conference, so we can kind of get our ducks all lined up. And Bill, because of your experience with what happened, with what you have already done, you've been through this one, and I'll find the law and I'll send it to you guys as to what I think it says we're supposed to do from what the legislation says. Then I think we can come up with a plan that will work. And I do think that obviously the sheriff's department, their view of what is being recommended, that that has to be part of it. So let me look at the legislation. That will answer one question. Let's see if we can. I'll send an email this evening, Andrew, if that's okay with you. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. To you and to Jen, and saying, and just now we need to find out who would be, so Jen knows who she'd be meeting with. I'll make myself available tomorrow during the workday, which normally I don't do, but I will do this tomorrow. Andrew, of course, will be part of it. Marty, of course, will be part of it. Bill, I think, should be part of it. I don't know and I don't know every committee chairman. I don't know if Kevin wants to be part of the call. I don't know if Melissa wants to be part of the call, but tell me when I write her so she knows who's going to be on the call. But I think for me, it's just getting the nuts and bolts down. And I think for myself, I would recommend that I would be on the call, Marty be on the call as the chairman, and Bill, because he's been through this, Andrew and Jen. Make it small, and then let's get our ducks lined up. Let us all be on the same page. Then let's start working, getting this thing done.
I think that's
real quick. I have
idea.
the executive.
Also,
Right.
if you have your guidebooks with you and you turn to page 122 in Appendix B, that is the steps that we need to complete to submit it to the state of New York. So as that second to last checkbox on page 122, it says the local government has offered the plan in draft form for public comment to all citizens in the locality, and prior to the adoption of the plan by the local legislative body, has considered the comments submitted. So all we need to do is give them a public forum to comment on it. We don't necessarily have to have a public meeting, but I believe that the public meeting will probably be what the legislators do when they look over the final version and discuss adopting the plan. But we can get that all cleared away, like you said, Margaret, in our meeting tomorrow. If there's any, misunderstanding of what the next step is. So I think that's a good idea. I think Jen should probably have some time to either do so tomorrow or by Friday. And then we can definitely sit down and have a concise timeline of when things and how things are going to proceed. But the Appendix B is what we have to check off to submit it to New York State.
Andrew, that's also in the actual text of the executive order. It just says that you have to offer a plan for public comment. It doesn't say that you have to hold a public hearing.
Correct. I mean, that's what I took from it. So I would love if the public got involved and made some comments, but we will see. We will see what they do.
And I'd just like to say, I don't know who I'm speaking for, but definitely myself, that when we did the draft portion that we submitted last week, it was with an understanding 100%, at least for me, that Margaret, through her emails, would then take it and put it more as a cohesive document. And I have every faith that she will do a very good job on that. I've been on the other side of Margaret, and I know she'll do very well in that in that role. So, as far as if we're still putting a plan together, I think the smaller the group that goes, I don't need to be involved with that meeting. Get the timeline going. Margaret, start working on what we've submitted to you, putting together. And then if you have questions specifically for my subcommittee, please feel free to reach out to me either through email or even call my cell, and we can go through that together. But whatever makes it easiest for you, Margaret, I think you have a big task at hand, and I appreciate your commitment to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, as subcommittee chair, I would just echo what Missy said, and I'm available, but I have no problem letting you run with it, Margaret. Thank you.
Margaret, I'm happy to act as your clerk if you need a second set of eyes over the weekend.
I would welcome that, Mile. So let's, and Marty, I don't want to run your meeting, but I do have a tendency to take over a room I'm in. I'm sorry, it's just my nature.
I got proud.
So, but just because I'm thinking about what I need to accomplish, and I'm looking at the clock, which is what I do all the time. So here's what I'm proposing then. I'm gonna, as soon as we end this call, I'm gonna email Jen Hibbett with Andrew on it, Marty on it, Bill, and Bill's gonna be on that email, okay? I'm going to ask that we schedule a meeting at her convenience tomorrow. I'm going to just tell her briefly that I have a board meeting in the morning, but I should be free, and give her a time where I'm going to be free. And then whatever method that, whether it's a dial-in number, but we just want to kind of get our ducks lined up, and we just want to go through a procedure so that we're all on the same page. Because I'm going to undertake writing this thing, starting from a very good working draft, and to have this thing done and something given to the office, and that we just want to confirm a couple of things, okay? Including the fact that we need to have our committee, after I get the thing written, to be able to look at it and then say, could you tweak this? Can you tweak that? Okay? So that's task one, email. Task two will be actually having that call. My task this evening will be to look at what you've done, start working on an outline that encompasses what we've discussed tonight, how we'd like to see it, and then getting that over to everybody. So if anybody, and particularly the chairman, the chairs of each of the committees, If they could then just say, would you mind if you did it this way versus this way? We at least then know what's the format I'm going to follow to write the thing. So I'm going to try to work on that tonight. We'll see if I can get it done and around to everybody. And then over the weekend, as I'm doing the drafting, okay, say I complete the first section that might deal with committee one, which I'm not going to call committee one because I never call anything, you know, because it's confusing to people reading. Who's committee one? What's committee two? So I'll name the committee the something committee, the diversity committee, the policing committee. I'm going to try to come up with a name that kind of captures in a very short thing and define a committee so they know kind of, okay, that's the committee they're talking about. But as I define those committees, if as I'm working on the draft, I'm very happy to share it with over the weekend so you can start seeing it. You can comment, not comment, it's up to you. I don't care. But at least everybody's kind of in the loop. So but I'm not positive. So if you can give me the who's the chair of which committee, then that's going to help me out a little bit, okay? And then over the weekend, if those committee members would like to see these drafts as they progress, happy to send them to you, okay? You may look at them, you may not, but it might be something that you see something glaring that you want to bring to my attention, I'll correct it right then, okay? And then hopefully Jen will agree that on Monday we will send to her, and I hope, you know, she tells me that I have a feeling she gets into work too damn early, but if she said that we'll have it to her by 9 o'clock, and that at that email everybody will get a copy of it, and that she knows that our committee is going to look at it for the first time as a whole and tweak it. Miles, I also would like for you to be part of this too. Over the weekend, as I'm drafting stuff, hey, you see something that, how about this way? I'm open to anything, okay? So I want it to be, you know, so everybody is part of this. And then of course that we're meeting the task. We're getting to the task of where we're going to go. But that being said, I don't think we have a lot more to talk about tonight. I think that I think I can go have some dinner, start looking at what we have done, start outlining what we're going to do, make sure I get my email to Jen out right now before I go and eat anything. And I'm hungry, so believe me, it will be a quick email. I'll eat, I'll look this over and maybe have something drafted and get around tomorrow. And then I think we're done. We've saved ourselves 35 minutes from what it said was going to end at 7. 35 minutes that I can get moving on this. How does that sound?
That's fine with me, and whatever you want to do over the weekend, I'm happy to be a part of.
I really like
Thanks,
the
Miles.
about the preface of all the times we met and everything. Is there someone that could do that?
Yeah, I was going to volunteer, you know, Andrew and I to work on that and at least put it together if Margaret wants to put it into paragraph form or whatever, but we could at least get all the facts down for you and try to.
And one more thing, I think, Marty, because you were asking how everybody wants to be listed. I do recall the county executive sending out a press release, and I probably have it because I think I had it for that first meeting, where there was identifying each of our members and a little bio about them. I like the bio because, you know, some people, they're going to look and say, who is this person? I don't know who this person is. Who's Margaret Murphy? Right? And then next to her, it's not going to be JD. We have titles, and who the hell are these people? We just, not to be but just saying it kind of gives why we had an interest or why someone might have approached us on this. So a small little bio, but I think that was already in what Andrew, that the county executive did our first day, and I probably have that. But if not, Andrew, you could save me some time. Although I have a big basket with all this stuff in, I'm sure I can find it. But if you have it, that could shortcut something too. And then everybody, you know, we circulate that bio. If you want to tweak it, tweak whatever you want for yourself. Okay. All right.
Yep.
And I will have the minutes for all the meetings. Me and Marty can discuss that, and I'll submit that to him, and he can, you know, go over it and improve it and get that to you this weekend as well. I would, if anybody is looking for any of the meetings, all the meetings are on Erie County, New York, on our YouTube page. So I've just been going over them the last couple days again, just to go over precisely what we spoke about. So that part I will definitely take care of.
Beautiful. Do we have anything else? I hate to be the person that gets in between Margaret and her dinner. She still has to get an email out. So I will just say that, yeah, everybody do that, because everybody wants to know all the accomplishments of Olivia Mowens. I'm sorry. I'm gonna send my fingers back to Amherst Typing School and see if I can get a refund. Anyways, thank you, everybody. Unless there's anything for the good of the order.
Real quick, do we have
yes.
another date that we're going to meet?
I
Would you
think
guys like to set something up for Monday morning, Sunday evening? You guys tell me. No, we're going to play it by ear.
No, I think what will happen, I'm hoping that will happen, and Marty can then, if it doesn't work out, our plan doesn't work out, I think right now, there's no need for another meeting. I will keep the chair's advice, unless someone sends me, and Miles, because Miles has asked, to see the progress. Monday, when the county executive's office gets it, everybody will get it. We can send, Marty, you probably should send an email out to the group tonight for those who are not here, saying to expect a draft on Monday, and if they could find some time in their day or in that evening to review it and send whatever comments they have by the following day, and let's do a cutoff of noon, okay? And then I'm sure I can clear with Jen that any tweaking that has to be done, I'll get it to her later, that evening, so that she has it when she walks in on Wednesday. But I don't think it's going to be huge, and maybe it is, but at least, everybody's looking at it, and we're trying to get a final product out. Okay. Yep. And then I don't think we need to meet until there's something comes up that we find that there's a need for a meeting, and then Marty and you and Andrew can then decide to send a notice around to us to meet. Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I am good with that. And the only, I guess, the parting thing I will say is that I just think that, we're really pushing this timeline, but we're doing that because as compared to so many other jurisdictions, we not only we're a bigger one, so I think people expected more, but we have done, I think, way more than most entities and how they're responding. Not just addressing the issues, but surveying police officers. I bet you that nobody else has done that to get their insight, and they gave us some good insight and some good recommendations. To do the call data, I doubt anybody's been, so, and then we've had all of these meetings where we've really teased things out and had a very substantial list of requests for the sheriff, and all of that took time, and it's no wonder that we're up against it for the submission date, but it's because I think we've done so much, and we should be able to stand proud on top of behind our report. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. If anybody needs anything, or if anybody has any last minute thoughts on what we need to do or changes, contact me, contact Andrew. Margaret will be working over the weekend. Don't bug her too much. She needs peace and quiet, and you can send her all the Coca-Cola that you can find. So anyways, thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Margaret.
Thank
you,
you, everyone.
Margaret.
Thank you.